Hey, what's up, tubers? It's Tony, and today I'm going to give you a up close and personal look at your filler neck hose from the point where you put gas in your vehicle all the way through the line down to your gas tank check valve, which is located on the fuel tank. I want you guys to know that these check valves are not removable. I heard that Dorman may make a kit, check valve kit, but you would need to contact Dorman's customer service number and verify that for yourself to make sure that they do actually have a check valve kit for your particular Silverado. Okay? For those of you who have been having a difficult time filling up at the gas station, meaning your vehicle takes a long time to drink your money, okay? And you suspect that you have some sort of blockage, it could be in the filler neck hose. It could be the line, the venting line hose that's attached to the filler neck, okay? This can become clogged up as well. This doesn't mean that you don't have a bad charcoal canister or a bad vent valve solenoid, but what you want to do, if you believe that you have a blockage, you want to check, or if fuel is coming back out of this door, you want to check with a borescope, or you can disconnect this hose at the check valve near the gas tank, and it will give you a better view of what might be caught down in there. You can take a magnet or a flat blade screwdriver and try and gently push whatever the obstruction is out, and it will fall into the fuel tank, okay? So for those of you who have been wondering if this little floppy door falls off, what happens? Well, I can confirm that when it falls apart, the would-be springs that go up top here, they actually fall into the line and they will travel down to the check valve the next time you add gas to the vehicle, okay? This is what it looks like when it's intact, okay? It's nothing more than a cheap piece of tin. And when it breaks, and I broke it intentionally for today's video, but when it breaks on its own, it's going to break right here, guys, because this is where the stress is on this thing. There are no mechanical springs back there or anything. It's just designed to fit into those holes back there. And what happens is when you put your gas pump nozzle down into this hole, you actually push this door out of the way. So it goes like this. When you remove your fuel pump nozzle, it closes back. So you can imagine that doing this 30,000 times or so eventually is going to break this easily. So when I broke it off, the X's fell off. This broke off in two pieces. This broke off in one piece. They fell straight down. This piece just fell right there where I can see it. And to be honest with you, I don't see that round door making its way through that little hole because it didn't go anywhere. So what I did was I took needle nose pliers and just pulled it back out this way, and it came out. Then I took compressed air and pushed the other particles all the way through, because I just dropped them in there this time. I pushed them all the way through to the check valve, and then I used a borescope, which I'm going to show you what it looks like on the borescope. You can get these at Harbor Freight, Amazon, your local auto parts store. Guys, do not go out and spend an enormous amount of money for a borescope, especially if you're only going to use this thing a couple times here and there. You're not performing surgery. Save your money. Okay, guys, I've already ran the camera down through the filler neck line to try and save time in this video. And what you're going to see is there is my obstruction. There are those would-be springs sitting in the door of the check valve, okay? And remember, I have already confirmed that when they break off, they will enter the check valve and they can jam it open, jam it closed, jam it partially open, jam it partially closed, okay? So it's a man-made item and anything can happen with cars. But there it is, you see it. It's got the little dots on it so that you could identify them, okay? I put those dots on there so you could identify it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the check valves over to my sink, and I'm going to illustrate fuel entering the check valve using water. I want you guys to keep in mind that, excuse me, fuel is much lighter than water, okay? So when you're at the gas station pumping gas into your vehicle, that pump, if you have a small car, is probably pumping like 24 gallons a minute into your vehicle. If you have a large SUV or something of that nature, it's probably pumping something like 35 gallons of gas per minute into your vehicle. I'll explain to you why that's important momentarily. If for some reason you use a borescope, guys, and then you see that there's a blockage, and the only thing that should be in this hole should be these items right here, okay? It's the only thing that should be in that hole unless someone physically inserted something down into your filler neck lines, okay? But if you should see a blockage with a borescope, or maybe you remove the tube at the end of the fuel tank and you're able to really look down in there like this, okay? What you can do, there are choices. Get yourself a car antenna. Why? Because it's strong and flexible. And then stick that antenna down into the filler neck line. It will go all the way down to the check valve, guys, and then just gently push. Okay, what you're trying to do is just open and close the check valve manually to see if you can free up whatever the obstruction is. I highly recommend that if you've seen an obstruction down there, just take the hose loose. It's on top of the gas tank, guys, and then you'll be able to take a small screwdriver or whatever and gently push down in there. You can also take a magnet and try and fish out these particles when they break, because they are magnetic as well, okay? Also, folks, that vent hose that is attached next to the fill neck, if I haven't mentioned, they're always going to have this type of clamp on it. It runs all the way down on top of your gas tank. Some Silverados have the tab that you push in and then you can pull it loose. If you believe you have a blockage, you want to check this vent hose out as well by blowing compressed air through this end, and it should come out of this end. Then blow it through this end, and it should come out of this end. Some Chevy Silverados actually have what's called a pinch tab connection, guys, okay? And all you do is just pinch the tab in, make sure it's open, and then wiggle it off of its connection. To get to the vent hose connection on top of your gas tank, you don't actually have to remove the gas tank, guys. You just want to support the gas tank with a jack and a piece of board, and then you can remove, or not really remove, you can unscrew the two 15mm retaining bolts and just lower it down a little bit to the point where you can stick your hand up there and break the connection loose, and that should be more than enough room for you to put it back on, okay? So here are my two check valves. I cut both of these off of old fuel tanks. This one is busted and was busted from the get-go. Notice that it doesn't have the little door that slides in here to keep the check valve straight. This one here does. So down in this check valve, I just dropped something down in there to show you what happens when a foreign object enters the check valve. So now I'm going to turn on water, illustrating fuel. And what I told you earlier today about fuel being lighter than water and the fuel pump pushing XYZ amount of fuel out of the pump into your check valve, that's because they're way more powerful than my sink will push water. So when you actually are at the gas station filling up your vehicle, because of the pressure, it will push the check valve all the way down and it will open completely up so that fuel will come through all three of these holes to get into the gas tank. So this puppy is already jammed up, as you see, okay? But I wanted to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to run fuel through here. And notice that fuel comes through, okay? It's not backing up through the filler neck, okay? Not backing up through the filler neck. It is making it through, but it will not close. So you know that when a foreign object enters the filler neck or the check valve, you know that it can jam the door open, okay? Now, you won't have access to this part of the check valve. The only way you can gain access to this part of the check valve is to drop the fuel tank, remove the fuel pump assembly, take a bright flashlight, and go in there and physically try and free your obstruction, okay? That's the only other choice you're going to have, guys, okay? Or you can take a magnet and try and fish out whatever's caught down in there. Good luck, but it's worth a try. You can take a screwdriver, flat blade screwdriver, push it down into the check valve and just keep playing with it, hoping and praying that you can get whatever the obstruction is to fall into the fuel tank. Whatever this metal is or piece is, guys, it will just fall to the bottom of the fuel tank, okay? So let's go to this check valve that actually works. What's down in there, guys, is the would-be hinges from the door, okay? Again, I'm not convinced this door will make it through the hose and the line all the way down to the check valve, but let's say it did. I know for a fact that this will fall into the check valve and go down in there as well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run fuel again through the check valve and show you what happens when those particles break off and sit inside of the check valve. Watch down here. Notice that water is coming back up out of the filler neck, guys. Okay? So this is the hose. The hose for the filler neck would attach right here where my finger is. Notice that water or fuel is backing up out of the check valve. It's not really running out of here like it's supposed to. Oh, and notice that eventually it broke free. Okay? Two of the would-be hinges fell into the fuel tank. Now I'm going to turn the pump off, but still notice that the check valve is jammed open, okay? So there are my two hinge-like pieces. So you know now that they can cause you problems when they break off and enter the check valve. The door. It's down in there and it's jammed, okay, as you see. It is jammed. So now you know for a fact that these particles will cause you problems when they break, okay? Again, what can you do? Get a flat blade screwdriver, okay? Get a old car antenna if you don't go the route of removing the hose, the filler neck hose that's connected to the check valve on the gas tank. Put it down in there, guys, and you know, you can try and fish it out with a magnet, or you want to push until you hopefully get that thing to go through and free up the check valve, okay? And notice that by me doing this, I'm going to remove the magnet because I think it's sticking to the magnet. So I'm going to pretend that this is my screwdriver and see how it's really jammed in there, guys, okay? But see what sticking something down in there did for it? It moved it, okay? So you want to take your screwdriver and gently stick down in there and keep pushing, hoping to free that check valve. And there's the door. It eventually entered into the fuel tank, okay? And again, now once you put fuel in your vehicle, this check valve should open all the way up like so, allowing fuel to enter into the gas tank. And when you stop fueling, it should close, okay? So that's it, guys. That's how you figure out if you have an obstruction in your filler neck hose and how you deal with whatever the obstruction is for the most part. And I hope today's video has been beneficial and helpful to most of you out there. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you next time.